Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about beer, so let's get into it. Now, this is pretty much as off topic as it can possibly get for me, because this little channel of mine is about programming, it's not about beer. But I did make one earlier video about coffee, so I will try to make this something that is relevant to IT. So let's have a think about this. How can I make the topic beer into something that is relevant? Well, if we take a bit of a walk, and I'll just lead you through it, I'll see if I can do this. So something that is an interesting thing today. You may not actually think so if you're not working as a software developer. What's very interesting is that you are about as close as to a rock star within, the normal society as you can possibly get when you are pretty good at what you do and you do software development. And what's interesting is that you are in so high demand at this point that everybody is more or less looking for it. If they have some type of relevancy within IT, they are pretty much in a constant state of we need more developers, we need more developers, we need more developers. And it's kind of interesting that it's gotten to the point now where the large companies, who of course have a lot of money, they are offering you salaries that are, well, if you're a consultant, the salaries are insane, and just in general, and they're even more insane depending on where you actually, depending on field. If you go into banking, the banking world as a consultant, you are going to make a lot of money, no question about it. So, but that kind of brings the question: what does the smaller companies do? What can they offer? Well, there are always developers who have, for personal reasons, an interest in working at smaller companies, because there's a lot of just work environment related benefits to that. But something that is extremely popular these days is branding. And what I mean by that, I mean employer branding. So you may or may not have looked at the articles where they show you pictures from Google headquarters, and you see how the office is in the decorations and all of that stuff. That, my friend, is employer branding. That is Google spending a lot of money on trying to make their work environment a very attractive place to work, because that is something that is even more valuable than just flat cash. Because the thing is that in order for you to recruit the best software developers, it's a very bad strategy to just offer money, because there is always somebody's offering more to any individual. And you can even think about it from a loyalty perspective. Do you really want to have people working for you where the only reason they're there is that you're paying them a lot of cash? Think about it from this perspective. How likely is such a person to actually provide a lot of value, to really go the extra mile for your company? As an employer, you want people to stick around, and you don't want somebody just coming a few months later, giving them a few more bucks, and then they are off to the next thing, right? That's a bit of a strategy thing, to actually have strong employer branding. And in order for you to have that, you need to build a culture, and that culture is the thing that's going to determine how likely people are to stick around. I can only speak for myself, and I can say that it's a very common strategy that I can see where they go. The smaller startups, they usually go very hard on this family feel, where people feel included and they feel very, happy to be working with their coworkers. And usually you can actually cut your salaries a little bit there and pay people a little bit less in exchange for that, because you have a really good working environment. Now, what usually then happens is that the company offers you these small luxuries that kind of does what the Google people are what Google does, where they give you these small things that make you, kind of go, oh, this is unusual. This is not part of everyday work. It can be anything from personal trainers, and it can be from other luxuries to something like beer, for example. You have free alcohol, you have remote work options, flexible work schedules, and all of this good stuff that come as these small luxury packages that you can just add to, your employer brand. Now, When it comes specifically to beer and alcohol and things of this nature, the issue you will see with having, like, there are benefits to this, but there's also an issue, and a very fundamental issue is that you are not considering the sort of people that you are going to recruit. Now, if you have thought about adding culture as like a selling point for your company, and you're really going strong on that, you need to think about the culture that you're going to build. An example is that if you build a culture where alcohol is promoted and stuff of this nature, it's very likely that you're going to get a bunch of frat boys who are interested in your work area, but more like seniors, I mean, they're going to see through it. If you're trying to say that, hey, I'll cut your salary by X amount of percent and then you'll get a free beer every Friday, it's really only naive developers who are going to think that that is a really good selling point. Because although it might be cool to somebody who is in their 20s, who the fuck cares when you're 30, 40? You have, at that age, you're most likely kind of past being impressed by something like that. You might enjoy it, but it's not the thing that's going to be your selling point. And if then you are recruiting people based on this premises with all these small little luxuries, you may need to make damn sure that you're getting a bit of a diverse portfolio, because I've seen companies where they've gone really strong on this, and the only people they get in that are interested are these kind of frat boy guys that have this, there's a very specific ecosystem that gets developed, and that's pretty much, it's fairly annoying to be around for some people, and it's especially hard once you build that culture to get any females to be interested in being in that environment. If there's just a bunch of frat boys who are, basically behaving like if they were in high school every day working with you, it's let's just say that it's very hard for you to change that sort of culture. And there are other issues that come with that. So when it comes to adding these luxuries to your employer brand, you should really think about the sort of environment that you want to build, because although alcohol can be an incentive for certain people, you really have to ask yourself whether or not those are the sort of people that you want to have around. I'm not saying that the description that I gave is going to be the end result for everybody, but I've seen it happen before. I actually did work for such a company, and I saw what it did to the office culture. You build you build some, absolutely, you build trust, and you build a culture. But if you base it around the wrong things, you're going to include people that may or may not cause you to lose out on other people, if that makes sense. Like you're creating, because you can't have everybody fit into one work environment. So you really have to think about what type of people you want to have in the company. And in my experience, there are better ways to get a really good, strong, well-rounded team with a bit of diversity who perform like a really high performance team than alcohol. There are other luxuries you can offer potential recruits that will make them just as excited. So what I want you to take away from this is that as an employer, I think you should really think about the sort of benefits that you offer, because depending on the benefits, you will have different people will be interested by different things, and you really have to think about those people. Who do you want to work in your environment, and what environment do you actually want to build, the office culture? And as a job taker, I think you should think about really asking yourself because sometimes you might have to go down fairly low in salary for some startups, and you really should think about is that worth it for you? I mean, if you do the math, if you're getting, I don't know, a few beers a week and they're cutting your salaries by quite a lot, why don't you buy your own beer? It's just a thought. So it's a two-way thing here. It's about finding kind of a balance between it, like between the culture part and the salary part, and each of us have to kind of think for ourselves on this one. So hopefully you found this useful. Have a great day.